Hi everyone, welcome to my brand new beauty feature, Tilbury Tips. It's where I'll be answering all of your burning beauty questions. So let's get started. So Paige, I think there's two questions there. Blushes are one thing and contouring is another. So if I want to talk to you about blushes are very much, if you've got very pale skin, especially if you've got kind of blue-white undertones in your skin, so they're kind of actually even paler than someone like me, any harsh colours will really show up on white skin. So in fact, kind of when you're using very sort of, the beauty of black skin is that you can use really incredible kind of bright pinks and they just look absolutely they melt into the skin and look really beautiful. So, but if you were to use a super kind of like, almost like a fuchsia type pink blusher on a pale skin, you suddenly end up looking like sort of a massive case of, as if my 4-year-old had put blusher on my face so I look like Aunt Sally. It just would be a disaster. So softer tones that are more peachy, pinky, with a little bit of kind of finely milled gold pearl through them will actually kind of lift the face and make them look a little bit softer and not sort of as, that kind of a little bit sort of like, not as harsh looking actually, and make it look a little bit dreamier on pale skin. And also when you're talking about contouring, I think I tend to use kind of soft bronzers, again with a little bit of gold milled through them, because again it softens it on pale skin, doesn't make it look as harsh, and definitely nothing as grey or too chocolate looking, too dark, anything, because it will all go muddy and you'll look like you've had a fight with a kind of bit of a mud fight on your face. So it has to be light, bronzy, goldy tones. And also if you're going to talk about contouring, it's really important that you get the right brush. So I always call it follow the hollow. So suck in your cheeks when you look into a mirror, like this. And then you'll just see where the shadow naturally hits, and you get, I've got this amazing contour brush actually, which you can use, and it literally kind of just mimics the shape of where you would naturally kind of want to contour, and just follow the hollow, and it works beautifully. So number one, always use an eye cream and always use moisturizer. And then you should, on top of that, yes, use a concealer. It depends what type of concealer, because if you have quite blue bags or kind of quite a lot of grayness, some people really have a pigmentation problem around their eyes, and you definitely need to use a heavier concealer. And that mixed in with the right eye cream should work, it should smooth out quite beautifully. Then also depends if you haven't, for instance, I have quite a lot of kind of pale blue sort of bags underneath my eyes, but I can use something a little bit lighter. So I use my retoucher, which is in between, a hybrid between a light reflector and a concealer, and actually it smooths it out quite beautifully. But always use a moisturizer, otherwise you will end up with it looking really, really chalky. And even if you don't realize it, it will sit in the fine lines. Even if you're 18 years old, it will kind of just make you look very dry, and it will actually, the skin around your eye area is very delicate. So it's really important that you treat that quite sensitively. And then if you want to keep it in place and you still feel that, then I would use a bit of Airbrush Flawless Finish powder, because actually that kind of, really gives you that very smoothed out, super HD look. Because for some people, it kind of, if they're quite lined around their eyes, it might then sit in, in the lines a little bit. So using a perfect powder will kind of just smooth it out for them and keep it in place. Right, well, there's two different problems here, though. So you need to keep the curl, and by doing that, you must use eyelash curlers. Eyelash curlers are they're like a push-up bra for the eyes. So eyelash curlers immediately, and never do that once you've got your mascara on, because you could either rip out your eyelashes or they could crimp. So do that as a first step. So first step, eyelash curlers, hold them. If you've got particularly stubborn eyelashes, they're very straight. Clench the eyelash curlers closed and hold it for about 30, 60 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, and then have a look, and then do it again, and then reapply. And you can do it maybe 2 or 3 times. Just make sure they really get that curl. And then to keep the curl in place, if you've got very stubborn eyelashes, again, waterproof mascaras are fantastic. So you could either use your mascara with a coat of a waterproof mascara on top, or just a waterproof mascara, but that really does help. It almost is like a gel. It kind of holds them up even more. And for thickening, it's all about using the right type of mascara. Again, I'm obsessed by this because I actually have quite thin, fair eyelashes, so I really kind of always want to create that kind of massive sort of flutter of kind of false eyelash flutter, that sort of volume, but I never want it to look cloggy. And so, you know, before I would end up using one to thicken it, one to brush it out, one to kind of not make it cloggy, one to kind of curl it. It was just sort of a whole process that would happen. I really have to say, there are a couple of fantastic mascaras out there on the market, but I'm obsessed with my own because, you know, I end up getting the brush laser cut into this sort of 5-star shape, because it would literally do kind of, you know, the 5 in 1. It was sort of lift, curl, and volume, length, and drama. And it's like my bête noire. I mean, I could never ever find the right mascara. And I mean, you know, literally, if like you opened up my makeup bag, it was just pouring mascaras out more than anything. I mean, that's the thing, I won't ever let anyone see me without mascara. And, you know, I kind of like die by the wand of my kind of my mascara brush. But so this 5-star mascara, full fat lashes, it really does give you that full fat kind of flutter without it looking cluttered. And I just think that the difference between men and women are our lashes. It's like that kind of like gorgeous sort of like, you know, sort of lashy sort of flutter that we have. And so yeah, I'd say use that mascara and it really make a huge difference to your life. Anything in life, I think you do have to have a very clear vision or a clear path of what you want to do. And if you really believe in what you want to do, then you kind of have to have that total persistence and determination to make it happen. And I believe that anyone can have whatever they want. It's just they have to have that kind of skill set of just never being able to give up, never giving up. Because certainly there are times in your life when you sort of feel like, and it certainly happened to me at the beginning of my career, where I was like, is it ever really going to happen? Am I ever really going to make it? And it's kind of those times when you just have to have, like I used to have a little note from a beauty editor that just said, you know, Charlotte, knock it to them, I know you'll be a star. So when I was cold calling magazines and agencies, when they go, yeah, call back, I'd look at and you'd sort of get sort of disheartened and read this note, and I'd be kind of give me the confidence to think, yes, I can do it, I'm going to persist and carry on. And that's a big part of it, because I think there are people that work for me and my team that it was through sheer persistence and them calling back and, you know, and then coming up saying we might do an internship or whatever it may be, that they ended up kind of working on for our team, and actually they were willing, they were kind of, you know, really eager and helpful, and I think that's got a lot to do with it. And never giving up on your dream, because I think people do along the way get very disheartened, and you know, if you believe in it, you'll 100%, if you visualize it, you'll get it, you'll achieve what you want to achieve. So that, I think, is a massive, I can't tell you how much that is a massive part of it. And then the rest is kind of the more practical way of kind of achieving what you want in terms of being a makeup artist. I think, you know, one thing is to kind of write to makeup artists like myself, you know, contact the agencies that represent us. I mean, it's much easier now with kind of social media because there is a lot more direct contact. You know, try and, you know, get on our teams in terms of fashion shows, photo shoots, because you can learn so much by being, if you're ever fortunate enough to kind of end up assisting a makeup artist that's in my position, or, you know, there's so many kind of great makeup artists out there that, you know, it's just a much easier route to the, you know, all the way to the top, because you're suddenly kind of, you're working with all the big magazines and big models and the fashion shows and all the rest of it. And also kind of, when, you know, very much look at kind of, you know, films, whether kind of vintage films or whatever, that you kind of, you know, it might be icons of the past that you kind of want to, like, it might be, for me it was like Liz Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, certain icons that I definitely kind of like would be fascinated. I would study their looks and study their faces. You know, magazines, I would look at all the magazines that you kind of, whether it's Vogue or W magazine or, you know, Harper's Bazaar, whatever it is, or ID or The Face. The Face doesn't exist anymore, but, you know, any of those magazines and models and photographers, and, you know, what is your style? I think you have to develop a style and who you admire, and then try and assist those people and try and maybe kind of mimic makeups that they've created, so that you can learn, you kind of, in a way, put yourselves in their shoes, in their sort of mindset, and sort of learn how to create some of those looks, would be a good tip. Somehow one thing leads to another. If you really are persistent enough, you might meet somebody who kind of, you know, you might do it, and lots of testing, lots of practice. You can never stop practicing, because it gives you more confidence, and sort of never give up on your dream, and really follow the people that you love and admire, and be persistent. I hope you enjoyed this week's Tilbury tips. Please keep your questions coming. I really love hearing from you.